In this video, we're going to look at a simple question that most consulting firms seem to rarely ask. How well do you actually understand how work moves through your business? Most firms have a very good understanding about how their projects work. They understand deliverables, timelines, and client outcomes, for sure. But that's different from understanding the workflow that produces those outcomes. And that's what we're going to explore today. We're going to look at the difference between projects and workflows, why workflow visibility matters, and why understanding how work moves through your consultancy is often the first step before operational improvement, automation, or possibly AI. Most consulting firms think about work at the project level. A project has a beginning, a middle, and an end. There are meetings, deliverables, milestones, and client expectations. But a workflow is something different. A workflow is the movement of information, communication, decisions, and ownership, how it moves through the business. Projects are the deliverable, what a client sees. Workflows are what makes those projects possible. It's how work gets done. And many firms spend years improving projects without really examining the workflow processes underneath them to understand the process that ultimately leads to the final deliverables. Let's explore a few questions that help us better understand workflow. Where does information get captured? Helpful to know. Who owns onboarding? How are decisions communicated? How do we have any history of a decision? Where are client conversations documented? What happens when a team member needs context from 6 months ago? These questions are all about workflow, and the answers often involve how we're capturing emails, meetings, notes, Slack, messages, CRM records, and informal conversations. The workflow exists, whether it's documented or not, it is happening. One reason workflow problems remain hidden is because firms naturally focus on the outputs. A proposal gets delivered, a workshop gets completed, a report gets presented. That outcome, those outcomes are visible. But the process that produced the outcome often isn't. And that's where operational risk begins to develop. At very least, operational inefficiencies. As firms grow, workflow visibility becomes increasingly important. New team members need context. More projects are running simultaneously, and client expectations are evolving and increasing, I think, over time. Knowledge becomes much harder to transfer as we grow as a company, and especially with headcount. Without visibility, bottlenecks, communication delays, and process gaps remain hidden until they begin affecting delivery. And that's why workflow visibility really matters. You can't improve work that you don't fully understand, that you aren't able to really see. Before thinking about AI, automation, or operational improvements, ask yourself a simple question. Can everyone actually in your organization, but can you clearly explain how work moves from prospect to delivery inside your consultancy? Not how you think it should work, how it actually works today. If the answer is unclear, you've probably identified one of the biggest opportunities inside your organization, because workflow visibility is the foundation that everything else depends on. I hope this is making sense. In our next video, We'll continue to look at how to perform workflow diagnostics and make consulting workflows visible. That's the practical process that allows you to see how work really moves through the business. And if you'd like to go deeper into workflow design, institutional knowledge, governance, and AI implementation, download my ebook, The Competitive Edge for Small Consulting Firms, AI-Powered Workflow Design. You'll find it in the description.